What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here today to talk about The Real Housewives of Dubai, Season 1, Episode 6 and 7. So, I didn't mean to make this a twofer. Last week, I actually recorded Episode 6, made a full episode. I edited it and everything. But with Dubai, for some reason, I stay getting, copyright claims. I think it's because... So production, they bring in, they have different music for Dubai than the other franchises. They have some that's, more kind of, UAE sounding, have some more of those vibes. And I think that if that music is included in a scene, and I include a screen grab of it, that's what made it copyright claim. Because I never get this problem with Atlanta or Beverly Hills. So, and I went out of town last weekend, and so just with the timing and shit, I just couldn't get the episode up. So I'm just going to go over a little Cliff Notes version of episode 6, which is titled Dinner on the Rocks, because a lot of it was kind of setting the stage for episode 7. So yeah, again, just be sure to fast forward if you need to. I'm going to go over episode 6 really quickly, and then we'll jump into episode 7 as usual. All right. So with episode 6, Dinner on the Rocks again, kind of the important need-to-know stuff is that... So at the very beginning of the episode, Brooks kind of speaks on her relationship with Ayan again. She talks about how they fight all the time, but they're sisters for life. Just kind of more about their dynamic, essentially. We have 7 days until Stanbury and Sergio's wedding. But remember, so Stanbury and Sergio are already married. They're already legally married, but this is just their ceremony that they're going to be having in Dubai, you know? Lesa and Stanbury, they squashed their beef, which should have been a bigger deal, but it was kind of anticlimactic. It was just Lesa, Stanbury, Ayan, and Nina Ali. They're all linking up, and they just kind of squashed their beef. It was just really basic. Ayan accompanies Sara to this Global Citizens Forum event, and Sara comes off as kind of judgy, as kind of braggy and shit. Ayan says Sara kind of thinks that she's Jesus, because Sarah's saying some shit oh, it's never too late to become someone like me. Such a word. She's just very, Sarah is just sucking her own dick, basically. And Ayan's kind of ugh, so Sarah's just on one. Brooke, she has this big old pool party, and she has some of her Boston homies, Brian and Adam. They're these gay brothers who Brooks has known for, years. They're all from Boston. Then we kind of segue over to the LGBTQ scene in Dubai, so that they kind of finally address it. They talk about how, people have a conception about, how Dubai is, or the UAE in general, their stance on homosexuality and the LGBTQ community. But Ayan says that, 90% of her friends are queer. Stanbury says, yeah, you won't see people, walking around holding hands like you might see in, LA or New York, but, there is a gay scene here. There are gay people here. So kind of they addressed that, which I'm finally, it just took them 6 episodes. Nina's dad, who lives over in Austin, Texas, he's sick with COVID, and so Nina's stressing about that. She's like, oh, I'm all the way here in Dubai. She's just, the distance between her and her family is really hitting her now that her dad's sick. And Brooks talks to Stanbury about sending her son to boarding school, because... So, I guess Brooks has had her son on this waiting list for this Swiss boarding school since he was 4 years old. And now he's 9, and she's like, okay, so in 2 years or so, we're going to send him to this boarding school when he's 11. But he has no idea about it, I guess. So Brooks is asking Stanbury about it, and Stanbury, who went to boarding school from 6 to 18, she's like, ooh, she talks about how boarding school affected her and kind of shaped left her with emotional trauma, she says. So yeah, and notably at the pool party, Sara couldn't make it. I think she was sick or she had some event to go to or something. So Brooks invited Sara over to her house to kind of meet up with her and Brian and Adam, the Boston friends. And at Brooks' home, notably, she has all kinds of pictures of herself downstairs. The friend is like, oh, you don't have any photos of Adam? Her son's name is also Adam. And she's like, oh no, Adam has photos of himself in his room, but it's only photos of Brooks downstairs, no family photos, no photos of her or their friends, or it's all just portraits of Brooks. And it's okay, girl. A bit much, but okay. She has some interactions with her son. So, like, it's Brooks, Sarah, the two Boston friends, and Adam and Brooks' son at the table. And Brooks is kind of like, she asks him something like, "Oh, do you want she asks her son, like, "Oh, do you want mommy to cut some chicken for you?" He's like, "Oh, yeah." And then Brooks asks the housekeeper, the nanny, essentially, to cut a chicken for him. Just the way she worded it was funny. "Do you want mom to do it? Okay, here. Can you go do it for Adam?" And then, she eventually has him, like, go upstairs because then eating, just go, like, do his thing. Brooks asks for Sarah's opinion on boarding school, and Sarah gives it. She's very much like, "Oh, no, boarding school's for kids, for parents who don't have time for their kids. It's very detrimental to children." But then Sarah and Brooks' friend, they kind of overstep. Sarah says that Brooks needs to be closer to Adam, to her son. Needs to be more affectionate. She needs to be closer to him and be more affectionate with him and when she speaks with him. Her friend jumps on with this, and he's just like, "Yeah, Brooks is cold." And all hell breaks loose. Brooks is pissed. She checks everyone at the fucking table. She goes off on her friend Brian because he was, like, saying some shit. I'll get more on that later, but... So, yeah, Brooks, like, popped off on her friend and Sarah. And watch what happens live, because Brooks appeared on last week's episode. Brooks, she had no hard feelings against Sarah. She knows Sarah, like, had no ill intentions, but, yeah, but it just was too much. And surprisingly, in the poll, they asked, like, "Oh, whose side are you on, Brooks's or Sarah's?" Like, most of, like, a landslide were on Sarah's side. And it's like, damn well that if Sarah would have fucking suggested how you parent, it's like, bitch, you would not accept that. Like, shut up. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, you guys are lying. And then we also learned that Nina's dad is doing much better, so that's good to know in the present time. And on social media, on Twitter specifically, Brooks also shared that her Boston friend, Brian, who she went off on, she said that she and him talked about it afterwards, and he was like, basically he was trying to piss her off for the cameras. He was like, "I was being extra, just going on for the cameras, like trying to make a scene." So he was basically pissing her off on purpose, because Brooks went off on him, and so it kind of made it justifiable, because he was pressing her buttons on purpose. And Brooks also shared, she spoke some more on, like, her interactions with her son. She was like, "Yeah, I sent my son upstairs because he wanted to go play Minecraft and shit. Like, he didn't want to be at a table with a bunch of fucking adults, who he barely knows." Like, so, yeah, Brooks is kind of clapping back at that. And, yeah, and to be honest, I'm not upset with Brooks, because, okay, again, Brooks asked for Sarah's opinion regarding boarding school, and then Sarah kind of overstepped. And Sarah did mention, she was like, "Oh, I don't want to intrude or, overstep or anything, but I think that, you should be closer to Adam." And it's like, so because Sarah worded it that way, she's like, "I don't want to overstep." I think she had, like, a little voice in her head that was like, "Ooh, this isn't a good idea." But Sarah's like, "Oh, no, it's fine. I'll just give this disclaimer." But, bitch, sometimes that little voice in your head is, like, the only thing that has your fucking back. You know what I mean? It's like, girl, you shouldn't have fucking said that shit. So, yeah, the big main takeaway is, like, Brooks and Sarah were getting into it because Brooks believes that Sarah said something, that Brooks was judging her, that Sarah was judging Brooks regarding her parenting. And while Sarah may have not been, like, judging her per se, it was an inappropriate comment from Sarah, you know what I mean? And just the delivery of it, you know what I mean? And it's also like, girl, mind your business, But anyway, so that's a little Cliff Notes version of episode 6. So now I'll jump into episode 7, Meet the Carayos. So episode 7 kicks off with Ayan, and she's over with her son Taj, and they're getting fitted for the UAE's 50th anniversary. It's like this, this fashion show or whatever. It's like an all gold kind of thing. Just getting fitted, and we see some funny moments with Ayan and interacting with her, with the designer, and so it's pretty cute.
La, la, la.
That's very flashy.
La 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 la. I love myself. Look at this ass. It's getting bigger.
And at this point, we are 2 days away from Stanbury and Sergio's wedding. And again, they're already married, but the ceremony kind of thing. And Stanbury and Sergio are getting ready to introduce their parents to one another. Stanbury's kind of nervous because she's like, okay, my parents are very old English, you know, and Sergio's parents are very Spanish. Like, I guess Stanbury's from like old, snobby, nasty, dusty money, and Sergio's like from a more working class, more normal background, I guess. And they link up and everything, and fucking Stanbury's parents get there first, and Stanbury's bitch ass, ugly ass mom, she's like, Sergio, your parents both speak good English, right? And it's like, bitch, like, what? I don't know. It's just the way she asked it. And it's like this old fucking English ass bitch with ugly ass fucking teeth. She's like, oh, your parents speak good English, don't they? And so you're just like, yes, they do. And it's like, well, bitch, maybe you should speak some Spanish. It's like, why? I don't know, it's just the expectation. It's like, you're in the UAE as well. It's like, they speak English there, a lot of it, but it's also like, Arabic is also national language. So it's like, girl, I don't know, just the way she, like, asked it, I don't know, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way a second. I'm just being weird, I don't know. Anyway, Sergio's parents arrive, and they're all kind of chit-chatting. It's a little bit awkward, but it ultimately does go well, and the families all toast to, the family's coming together and everything, and as Stanbury noted, you know, she's a 46-year-old woman. She does not need her parents' approval to get married. This is just a formality, you know what I mean? But it does go well. Then we segue over to Lesa, and she's with her kids. I'm just playing in the backyard and shit, little family scene. Rich isn't there, but it's Lesa and the kids. She says that Miss Goat is here to stay because her kids are, like, so damn attached to this goat. It was such a bad idea for Ayan to give that fucking goat to Lesa. It's like, girl, I understand the cultural significance behind this, but it's like, it is going to be a pet you know what I mean? It's like, if you give someone, it's going to become a pet. It's not going to be used for, like, food or resources of some kind of way, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, and then Brooke, she FaceTimes Lesa, and she kind of tells her about what happened with Sarah, and Brooke, she says that, Sarah was like, oh yeah, she told me that I need to be closer with my son, and she's like, oh, hold on, bitch, like, Brooke's just filling Lesa in, and Lesa says that Sarah is the queen of giving unsolicited advice. And she says that she's like a walking Instagram post. She's this walking fucking motivational ass poster, bitch. And it's like, girl, shut up. Like, which I really love. Because, like, I hate bitches like that. Like, honestly, like, God, I had this one teacher in high school. We were all like, God, she thinks she's Jesus. Like, she literally, she thinks she's, like, Jesus. You know what I mean? It's like, she thinks she's, like, but, yeah. So I love how Lesa clocked her. She's, like, she's a walking motivational poster. It's like, girl, shut up. And then Brooks' confessional, she says that, Brooks giving her opinion on Brooks says that Sarah giving her opinion on Brooks' upbringing was an attack on her culture, because Brooks is like, I am a Caribbean Afro-Latina, like, I'm from a family that's a Caribbean Afro-Latina family. And, you know, we're a bit more stern and strict and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. So basically Brooks is like, Sarah was coming at me, telling me to break generational cycles, to not be as militant with my son as I was raised with. And it's like, well, that's my culture. Like, why are you fucking talking about it? And we already know how Sarah is. Sarah is very much like, you know, preserve the culture, but pick and choose what you want. So I guess Sarah's like, oh, Sarah isn't acknowledging us part of Brooks' culture, though. So that may be, I don't know. I feel like just, no matter how you cut it, Sarah's just, like, overstepping. You know what I mean? It's like, Sarah's not even, like, a family member, like a close friend. Which, even with those, it's like, you only talk about parents. It's very tricky water, you know? But it's like, girl, she doesn't know you like that. Again, Sarah just thinks she's hot shit, and she has all the fucking answers. And again, as Lesa put it, she's just this walking Instagram post. But yeah, Brooks feels like Sarah was attacking her culture. And Brooks also says that she's forgiven her OG Boston friend, Brian. You know, she's like, we've been homies for years. This isn't going to break us apart. And again, Brian was kind of doing it up for the cameras. But Brooks is like, but Sarah, it's a bit different. I don't really know Sarah like that. And again, Brian was doing it for the cameras, but Sarah was just talking. You know, Sarah was just putting her foot in her mouth, essentially. It's just kind of iffy on Sarah right now. And in response to all this information, Lisa's really empathetic. She's like, yeah, me and Brooks may have different styles of parenting, but I don't think that any mom has it fully figured out. We're all kind of figuring out as we go along. She thinks Brooks is a great mom. Lisa's very empathetic, which I think was really cool. And then we see Nina, and she's on FaceTime with Sarah. And Nina immediately jumps into the bullshit, and she asks Sarah what went down with Brooks. And Sarah, she's like, you talked to her, didn't you? Like, you and Brooks must have talked about it. Because Sarah's basically like, well, I didn't tell you about it, so obviously Brooks must have told you something about it. And Nina tells Sarah that, like, yeah, Brooks was very upset about it. She felt like you were judging her parenting, judging her as a mom. And Sarah's like, what? I never judged her as a mom. Sarah explains that she was just talking about, like, breaking generational cycles, parenting your child better than you were parented, stuff like that. So Sarah's like, I never commented on her parenting. I was just, and I never called her a bad mother. I was just encouraging her to, work to break these cycles, essentially. Some bullshit like that. And she's like, oh, I would never speak poorly about another mother's parenting. Nina says that they'll all talk it out at Stanbury's upcoming engagement party. And once they hang up the phone, Sarah, she's all sighing and she's like, oh, for real? Like, she's all like acting all hot and bothered and shit. And it's like, whoa, what happened to this? I am so calm. I am so collected. I am so emotionally aware. But she hears that someone's upset with something that she said. And she's like, oh, are you fucking serious? Are you fucking kidding me? And at this moment while watching, I'm kind of like, man, Sarah's a fucking bitch. Like, Sarah's like a fraud, it seems almost. She's all about, she seems like one of those therapists who, like, really needs to go to therapy. You know what I mean? Like, they have all the answers and shit, but, like, they can't get their own shit. It's like, she's all about advocating for people to just communicate and work their shit out, but she's upset with me. It felt very uncharacteristic. You know what I mean? With how she's trying to portray herself. It felt uncharacteristic a little bit. But anyways, and then we see Stanbury. She's getting ready for her engagement party. And she's stressing the fuck out because COVID is resulting in some last minute changes. She said that they lost, like, the party planner, a saxophonist, some guests. Because COVID, it's something's going, like, these maybe one of the resurgences. In Beverly Hills, they talked about, like, how Omicron was popping up at the moment. So, like, 5 of the girls got sick. So, like, I think it's a similar kind of situation in terms of timeline. And then Stanbury, her phone goes off, and she sees that Sarah is popping off on Brooks in the group chat. And what Sarah's basically saying, she's like, oh, you're saying some bullshit. You're, like, lying. You're saying some bullshit lies about what went down on our meeting, blah, blah, blah. Like, Sarah's made, like, a very aggressive text. And she sent it to the group, kind of trying to be a petty-ass bitch about it. And again, I'm just kind of like, what happened to all that Gandhi bullshit? Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was just very uncharacteristic. You know what I mean? It's like Sarah's trying to portray herself as this one way, but she's not exemplifying that behavior when the shit's getting real. You know what I mean? When she can prep it and, like, you're just speaking for all these fucking people. She can put that mask on, but she can't keep it on when it gets a little bit hot in the kitchen, you know? But yeah, Stanbury, she's like, this is ridiculous. I don't give a fuck about this. I have enough going on. But Stanbury does acknowledge that Sarah overstepped. She's like, God, it's never gonna go well telling someone how to parent their child. It's like, God bless Sarah's soul. She's like, girl, are you serious? Like, of course this is a problem. Like, what? But yeah, Sarah was just very aggressive out of nowhere. And it's just like, okay, bitch. Then Sarah finishes getting ready and she heads out with Sergio. And Sarah looks like a little hot mess. The dress she's wearing isn't that cute. She's wearing these ugly little cowboy boot kind of thing. She has this weird bag, looks like a champagne. It just looks very disjointed. There's not a lot of, like, cohesion, But yeah, and then so everyone's on the way to the party. We see Nina and Munaf, her husband. They're on the way, and Nina, she's talking about how she's upset about her dad. He's still in the hospital with COVID. Again, he's better in real time, but at the moment, it was a really tough time for Nina. Nina says she feels helpless. She's up there with the family to help him out. And Munaf, she's like, oh, you just have to stay positive. It's the most, like, generic, unhelpful ass advice you could possibly give. Like, oh, you just have to stay positive. And Nina's like, I know, I have to stay positive for my mother. I have to stay positive for my brothers. So Nina's just, like, getting overwhelmed. And it's just like, oh, I don't know. When he's like, you have to stay positive, babe. And it's like, bro, shut up. She is. But it's like, she needs, I don't know. It's like, just let her talk. Just let her vent. And yeah, so the ladies are rolling into the party. And everyone is impressed with Ayan's dress. And so, for context, Stanbury mandated that everyone has to wear white. Everyone has to wear white to this thing. And so, yeah, I was like, okay, I'll wear white. And I don't know if she got, like, it's a very grand, ostentatious dress. You know, it has all this lace. It has, like a runner and shit. It's very flamboyant. And so she gets on. Everyone's hella impressed with Ayan's dress. Stanbury is rolling up because she's like a little bit fashionably late, as you know, she should be. She sees Ayan's dress and she's pissed. She's like, is Ayan wearing a wedding gown? Like, are you kidding me? Like, she's saying that Ayan's wearing a wedding dress. And she says it's a slap in the face, that Ayan looks more bridal than the actual bride, does. And it's like, well, girl, you shouldn't have fucking told him. You should have told him to wear white. Like, I don't know. And it's like, I think she was also salty because she knew that Ayan looked better than, so Ayan objectively looked better than Stanbury did. Ayan, as Ayan put it. Because Stanbury makes it known she kind of has a problem with it, but it's not a huge deal. Ayan's like, I work couture, and she clearly wore sheen. But it was kind of giving that. I'd hate to say it. But yeah, and then Brooks arrives with her Boston friends, Brian and Adam, so you know everything's all good with them now. And Brooks says that she isn't pleased with Nina because okay, so as mentioned, Sarah blasted Brooks in the group chat, but Brooks is like, okay, well, Sarah went off on me because of whatever Nina told Sarah. So rather than being upset with Sarah, Brooks is like, all right, I'm really upset with Nina. Well, she's mad at both of them, but you know what I mean? She's like, all right, makes it a point to kind of be like, Nina and I need to talk, like, ASAP. So then Brooks approaches Nina, and they go up to sit down, and Brooks basically straight up checks her. Nina says she feels attacked because Brooks is like, oh, whatever you said to Sarah resulted in her going off on me, and I trusted you. Like, Brooks is basically questioning, because Nina's like, oh yeah, I'm a safe person to come to, you can trust me, but Brooks is like, well, girl, can I really trust you? Are you really a safe place, or a safe person to talk to? And Nina feels attacked, and Nina's like, oh, I have enough going on, I don't need this drama. And it's like, well, bitch, you inserted yourself in the drama when you called Sarah. You know what I mean? It's like, all of a sudden, you're like, I can't deal with this, my dad has COVID, I can't. And it's like, well, bitch, your dad had COVID when you called Sarah up to get the fucking cheese. You know what I mean? So you can't fucking pick and choose. I fucking hate shit like that. It's like, are you acting like she's like, oh, my dad's in the hospital, I can't do this. Girl, your dad has been in the hospital since when you inserted yourself into, you know what I mean? I don't know. I thought that was like a weird cop-out attempt. And meanwhile, Lesa and Ayan, they're sitting with Sarah, and they ask for Sarah's side of the story. They're like, hey, girl, so what happened with you and Brooks? Sarah explains it. She's like, oh, I was talking about just her breaking generational cycles. I was encouraging her to just give more to her son than she got from her mom. And Lesa and Ayan hold her accountable. They're like, look, as mothers, you know, we all understand where Brooks is coming from. We understand, you know, like, they just hold her accountable. And they're like, you know, you just can't, so you just gotta think, you know what I mean, essentially. And anyways, things are getting heated between Brooks and Nina walks off and goes with the other girls. Nina's kind of emotional, but she's just like, whatever about it. So the party rages on, and Brooks, who wasn't with the other ladies thus far, she basically just got to the party with the other gay dudes, went to go talk to Nina, and then disappeared for a little bit. I don't know what she was doing. And then, so she leaks with the other girls. Sara gives her this big old fucking hug, and she says, like, oh, I love you. And, like, Sara makes it a point, like, so they hug each other. Brooke's like, you don't hug, you hug, you release, you know what I mean, after the appropriate amount of time. And Sarah's like, no, longer, like, hold it, like, just being all stupid and shit. And it's like, girl, why you act like you didn't just fucking blast her in a group chat for, like, allegedly, like, spreading bullshit lies. It's like, girl, fuck you. God, like, Sarah's like one of those spiritual girls who's, like, the meanest bitch you've ever met in your life. You know what I mean? They're like, girl, the spiritual girls are mean. But anyway, Brooks clocks out it's fake, and then Brooks, who Lesa says is drunk. Lisa's like, Brooks is fucking drunk. Brooks tells Sara that she wants to speak with her, and then they proceed to kind of go to their own little area to talk. Then we are discussing their stances on the situation. Again, we already know how Brooks feels as though Brooks feels as though Sara was attacking her culture, and Sara feels as though she was just speaking on breaking generational cycles. Girl, get in. We're doing hot girl shit and breaking generational cycles. Yeah. That's where Sarah's coming from. Brooks is like, you insulted my parenting, you attacked my culture, blah, blah, blah. And just have some disagreement. Sarah's like, oh, what does that do with culture? It has to do with how you're parenting. And they're kind of disagreeing with that. Sara, she gets put off because she says, like, oh, Brooks is raising her voice at me. Brooks is yelling. And again, it's like Sarah's quick to be clocking Brooks for, like, raising her voice and getting upset. When Sara was blasted, again, I just can't get past Sara, like, initiating the bullshit. Because, again, like, they have their moment at Brooks's house, which was a result of Sarah's fucking overstepping her boundaries. And then Sara went on to fucking blast Brooks in that text message. So she's been the aggressor, and now she's, like, upset because Brooks is upset. And it's like, I don't know, man. I didn't fuck with that. And then Sara, she says that Brooks needs to, like, show the real her or whatever. She needs to do something about and drop this facade. And then Brooks hits Sara back with the same shit. She's like, you have to drop this act. You have to show the real Sara Al Madani because I don't think we've seen her yet. And Brooks reads her the fuck down. It gets very heated. Production is like, hey, girls, like, calm down. And it is crazy. And Sara, she's like, what the fuck is this? And Brooks, what the fuck is this? It is crazy. But you know what? I'm on Brooks' side with this, to be quite honest with you. Because, again, I'm just not with Sarah's fake spiritual girl bullshit. I'm just not. I don't know. I think that really showed in episode 7 in particular. But yeah, girl. So that's what happened. Tell me about your thoughts on the situation. What do you think about the Brooks-Sara incident? How do you think about anything? Let me comment your thoughts below. I'd love to read your comments. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Again, thank you for watching. It was a twofer. But I did not mean for it to happen. It was just how it worked out. But again, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.